AITA for spending my son's university fund on a trip to Europe to drink beer like I always threatened, instead of giving it to his stepbrother after he passed away. AITA for not giving my mom her monthly money so I could have extra spending money on my vacation. AITA for telling my mom she was an unwanted guest.
I am more nervous than a porcupine in a basement full of bubble wrap!
Alright, we haven't done AITA in a while, so it's good to be back? I don't know. Anyway, if you aren't familiar, AITA is a subreddit where people submit family, relationship, or friendship stories, and people on Reddit decide whether the person is the a-hole or not. And today's theme is all about family. So we're gonna read these together and decide who is being the toxic, abusive, gigantic
Red flag!
Before we get into today's catastrophes,
This video is sponsored by MyHeritage!
to me, knowing your family history just shows your loved one that you want to know who they are and where they come from. It shows that you care about them, unlike some of the people in today's video. I hadn't revisited my family tree since high school, so I teamed up with MyHeritage to get a refresher. I've got 22 family members added to my tree so far, and it did not take that long because MyHeritage has over 20 billion records that are easily accessible, and they have what's called an instant discoveries tool, where as you add more information to your tree, they automatically start pulling photos, more information, more family members that you may not have even known about. And it's all done with the click of a button. I actually discovered some things about my family that I had forgotten about or didn't even know about. For example, some of my family is from Scranton, Pennsylvania, which is the home of my favorite TV show of all time. I'll let you take a guess on what that TV show is. And number two, some of my mom's side of the family migrated here from Bohemia, Austria, which is about a 3-hour drive from the birthplace of Arnold Schwarzenegger, Tall, Austria. So there is a statistical chance that I am related to the Arnold. And judging by my physical physique, I'm gonna say that's a very high chance. Also, check this out. This is a photo that I found of my grandparents. Great photo, but I thought it was a little dark and low quality. So I used MyHeritage's photo tools to enhance the quality a little bit, and then I added some color to make it even pop more. And then I also animated them to really bring them to life. So I thought this was really cool.
So if you want to find your fam, get a 14-day free trial with MyHeritage by visiting the little linky poo below or scanning the QR code and start building your family tree. All right, now back to the program.
AITA for spending my son's university fund on a trip to Europe to drink beer like I always threatened, instead of giving it to his stepbrother after he passed away. What?
What?
And I ask again.
What?
My ex and I divorced when he was about 12. She remarried when he was 14. I did when he was 16. I had an RESP set up for him. That's an education fund in Canada. As long as he went for post-secondary education, he could use the money for anything.
Fella.
I always told him I was okay with him not going to university. That way I could use the money I had saved up for him to go to Belgium and buy some beer from Monks that only allow you to buy one case. He knew I was joking and he always played along. He wouldn't let me get his goat. By the way, I think get his goat, I think that's like a phrase. Like, you're not going to get me. Like, I don't think that doesn't literally mean, like, you know, I'm sure his son was like, do not take my goat, Dad. Do not. That wasn't happening. When he got accepted to McGill, it was the proudest moment of my life. I took him out for a beer to celebrate his achievement and mourn the loss of my trip to Europe. My son was struck and killed by a drunk driver in March. I'm dealing with it. My ex is dealing with it.
Oh,
My wife has been nothing but my rock in this. She is holding me up. I was dealing with the funeral arrangements and everything when my ex came to talk to me about his money. She knew he had a scholarship and was just going to use the money for living expenses in an emergency fund. She asked me what I was going to do with it. I said I was going to do what I always said I would. I was going to Europe to drink beer. She asked if she could have it for her stepson.
and we are live! My sister in Christ, this is the worst time to ask for money!
I thought about it and said no. Her husband is a decent enough person, but he made it clear that he wasn't responsible for any expenses for my son. Beyond food and shelter and stuff, obviously. Like I said, he is decent. I said I was not going to do that. I was going to drink beer in my son's honor. She says I'm wasting thousands of dollars, and I guess I am. I have to give back the government portion of the fund, but I don't care.
Why are you criticizing him when your son's casket isn't even in the ground yet?
My ex thinks I'm being stupid and irresponsible wasting my son's money like this. I don't care. My son would laugh his ass off if he knew I actually did it.
You little moolah moocher! You little peso predator!
Okay, so your ex-wife is asking for thousands of dollars. Thousands of dollars that you've worked to save up for years. She's asked you to give it all to her to give to a child who's not yours, who you don't even have a connection with, probably don't even really know. She's essentially telling you that honoring your son by fulfilling a lifelong inside joke is a waste, and she's doing all of this while you two are in the middle of burying a child. It's her son too, by the way. So I'm gonna say that you are not the asshole, of course. And her current husband didn't even financially support your child, so I bet he would take your side too.
She's a vulture!
AITA for not giving my mom her monthly money so I could have extra spending money on my vacation. For context, I, 26 female, give my mom a set amount of money every month. She's retired and gets a pension, but she says it's not enough to cover her expenses. She insists that it's my responsibility as her daughter to help her out financially.
Huh, that's a flat tire on the road to wisdom.
My sister and her husband give my mom more money than I do, and they have a baby, which makes me feel even guiltier. They often remind me that they manage to give more, even with their extra responsibilities. This month, I decided not to give my mom her usual amount because I planned a 10-day vacation with my fiance to another city. I could have still gone on the trip while giving her the money, but I wanted to have more spending money to fully enjoy my time away. Now my mom is upset, and her attitude towards me has shifted. This isn't the first time she's been cold or distant when I couldn't or didn't give her money.
It just takes some time. Little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine.
Even though I know I could technically afford both, I feel guilty for choosing to prioritize myself and my vacation instead.
Everything will be all right.
So Reddit, AITA for skipping my monthly contribution to my mom so I could have more financial freedom on my trip. She later added further context to this story that I think is very, very important. Her mom has a $1,400 a month pension. Her mom lives in a large luxury apartment, and the original poster gives her $250 a month, and her sister gives $500 a month, plus covers the light bill. Actually, I'm gonna keep that sentence in my mouth before it hurts somebody. And here's this edit. For everyone saying I shouldn't be giving her any money and that is not my responsibility, I've tried to tell her I'll help her out when I can, but this only leads to her growing resentment towards me, turning cold, etc. I basically have no other option because if I don't send anything, my family says I'm an a-hole. If I send only when I can, they also get angry because my sister helps monthly. The only way to keep them happy is to send her money each month. I do feel used, and honestly, I only send not because I feel it in my heart, but because I feel it's the only way to keep peace in the family and avoid drama. Look, I believe in taking care of your parents. I think that is a very important, noble thing to do. However, there is a small portion of the older generation that believes that since they brought us into this earth and took care of us for 18 to 22 years and support us, then we owe them for double that. We owe them for as long as they are living. And I think that is wrong. That is a wrong kind of pressure to put on a young adult, especially a woman this age. She is 26 years old. She is most likely, she is not made of money. $280 a month is a big deal to somebody at this age. And then getting her sister to guilt trip her and to keep doing this is really wrong too. Oh, and on top of this, the mom has a luxury apartment. If you are struggling to come up with $280 a month, you need to downsize. You don't need to live in luxury. That's insane. So I say to the original poster, stand your ground and swap out her little chateau for a shack. AITA for telling my mom she was an unwanted guest.
Hello, greetings, salutations, warm regards.
My wife has had a stressful time at work and was looking forward to a vacation at her grandparents' cabin. She brought a few books she wanted to read, and I brought my fishing rod. She had no plans to entertain. My dad stopped by to go fishing. It was supposed to be just my dad stopping by for the day, but somehow my mom inserted herself and was shocked to see her.
Yeah, no shit she showed up. How is it unexpected for your mom to show up with your dad? What, do you gasp every time a pigeon takes flight? What is this?
My wife had no plans to entertain her. I told my mom that. My mom brought stuff for lunch and dinner and tried to engage my wife into making dinner for all of us, and my wife said no. She's relaxing and reading. If my mom wanted to cook, that's my mom's prerogative. My dad and I get back late, and at the table, my mom started to complain about how she did this all herself. I looked at my wife, who just took her plate and ate in her room. My mom started to complain to me about it, and I told my mom she technically wasn't invited, and my wife had no expectations to entertain her in my wife's cabin while my wife is on vacation. My mom started saying, well, she wouldn't have came if she knew that.
Next time ask before you bring the sass!
I told my mom, next time, take the hint. If you aren't invited, don't come. My parents left after dinner. My mom complained that my wife should have tried to be a gracious hostess, and I said maybe my mom should try to not be an unwanted guest.
I am angrier than a bull in a fire truck factory!
What grown adult needs another grown adult to entertain them this badly? You want an iPad, you little tablet toddler? What is this? Oh, and nothing like a good old romantic getaway with you, your wife, and your dad. Yeah, we're gonna get to you in a minute, dude. We're gonna get to you. So later in the comments, this original poster commented this. My dad was invited fishing. There was no dinner plans. My mom got in the car and thought my wife would have a girl's day with her because my sisters fall for that shit. My wife doesn't and has no chill. Here's what I think. You had to know your mom was going to show up once you invited your dad along. That doesn't make any sense. Of course she would. They're married and they're together. You knew she was coming, and yet you left your wife alone by herself with your mother to fend for herself on this vacation that was supposed to be romantic and a stress-free getaway and not involve other people. But you didn't want to handle it. You didn't want to handle your mother. So you were like, here, wife, you take it. You take this madness. So in my opinion, you, sir, are the asshole, but not for the reason that you're thinking. All right, I do actually have some more AITA stories. You're just gonna have to click the box in the top left-hand corner and we'll get started. And once again, thank you to the fine folks over at MyHeritage for sponsoring this video. Visit the QR code on the screen or click the link in the description and get started. Hopefully you don't find any red flag behavior in the family.